I don't understand the media constantly trying to twist the things I say into a negative way when all I want is better for women. I really don't understand it.
So Liz Cambage just stormed back into the spotlight to expose what really drove her out of the WNBA, and she might have cracked open a whole Pandora's box with this one. For years, the official story painted her exit as messy, rebellious, and shameful. But Liz is saying that was all a carefully staged narrative, crafted by the WNBA's own PR machine. And here's the part that's really raising eyebrows. It's not just who spun that story, but why they needed it spun in the first place. If you were one of the so-called conspiracy theorists who connected Liz's sudden downfall to Brittney Griner's surprise comeback, well, guess what? You're finally getting vindicated. Liz claims the league was so desperate to protect Griner's image that they were willing to push her straight under the bus, even though she was one of the most marketable and dominant players in the game. That's wild. But here's where it gets even juicier. Liz never planned on staying down. She's back, sharper than ever, and she's making it clear that if exposing the truth means more careers get dragged down with her, then so be it. She's not holding back anymore, and the fallout could be brutal. Recently, Liz set the internet on fire after opening up about the real reason she left the league, or better yet, the real reason she was kicked out. Because according to her, she didn't retire by choice. She was forced out while fans were being spoon-fed lies. Liz Cambage has been away from the WNBA spotlight for years, building a whole new lane for herself on OnlyFans. But now she's spilling tea that could flip the league upside down. The public excuse for her disappearance was simple. Her image was supposedly too damaged after that infamous clash with the Nigerian national team.
I got to witness it all firsthand. The lies I was told, and I'm so happy I have witnesses to everything I've been through. Dinner's at Catch.
The story was that she was too controversial, too much of a liability for the league's clean image. But Liz says that entire narrative was a cover-up, and the truth is way darker. In a jaw-dropping sit-down with Taylor Rooks for Bleacher Report, Liz claimed she was straight up set up by the WNBA itself, all to protect Brittany Griner. And if that already sounds wild, wait until you hear this. Liz insists that the whole Nigerian team controversy was blown way out of proportion on purpose, designed to make her look toxic and easy to kick out of the league. That's not just drama, that's sabotage. We all remember the storm in 2021, right before the Olympics, when social media and sports networks lit up with reports that Liz had hurled slurs at Nigeria's De Tigres players during a scrimmage. Headlines screamed that she called them monkeys and told them to go back to their third world country. Those words followed her everywhere, painting her as public enemy number one. But Liz is standing firm. She says that story is straight up false. According to her, she never used those kinds of slurs, period. She says she's very pro-black and that it would be completely out of character for her to even think about disrespecting another black team like that. Now, I know what you're probably thinking. Of course, Liz would deny using slurs to save face. But here's the twist. People who actually dug into the footage from that heated scrimmage noticed something wild. Liz wasn't the only one throwing hands out there. The energy was chaotic, players were clashing, and it looked more like a typical on-court blow-up than the one-sided meltdown the headlines made it out to be. Nobody's saying Liz Cambage has a squeaky clean history. She's had her fair share of wild moments both on and off the court. But when it comes to that infamous Nigeria incident, she later discovered she had been set up to carry the blame for something way bigger than a scrimmage fight. And if you want even more signs that she was being lined up as the scapegoat, just peep this. When a Nigerian player swung on her, not a single one of her teammates stepped in to back her up. That silence was loud. It screamed setup. But hold on to your seats, because this is where things really take a twist.
This one girl that's been saying that I called them monkeys, N-words, like, that's not, I'll call you a dumb bitch. That's what I say to people when we get into it. I don't really lean towards racially, backed, like, insults. That's not how I go. I'm very pro-black.
So you maintain that you did not say
I did not
either
say
of those
these to
things.
these girls. This girl that's saying all these things, right, had a lot to say about me. Leak the tapes. I've never owned the tapes. Leak the tapes. Y'all want to see the truth? Leak the tapes. Everyone in Australia has seen the tape. Still lying about what's on these tapes. Leak the tapes.
So I guess that still does, beg the question, because at the end of the day, it is one person saying that you said one thing, one person saying they didn't, and the truth is somewhere in there. And only people that know are the people that were there.
Yeah.
But I guess it's just why? Why would something as bad as this happen?
Because the truth looks a lot worse for other organizations involved than using me as a scapegoat. Like, why does Nigeria want me to leave Australia and go represent them? Why are we about to...
You're saying right now?
We're filing for me to leave the Australian team so I can represent Nigeria.
Because Nigeria would like you to join the team?
I've been in cahoots. I've been talking with them since all of this happened. This is what I mean. People don't know. People don't know the truth. No, I honestly haven't had one journalist that's written all these lies.
Liz eventually realized that 2021 wasn't the first time she'd been baited into drama. For years, she says she'd been catching heat from certain players and even team executives who wanted her painted as the problem child. The pre-Olympic scandal was just the boiling point. Everything really came to the surface after her messy exit from the Los Angeles Sparks in 2022. That's when Liz dropped bombshells about her so-called dream contract. On paper, the deal promised her a $170,000 salary plus Hollywood perks, like a car, rent covered, and extra living expenses. Sounds perfect, right? But once she signed, she realized the glitzy package was nothing more than smoke and mirrors. She called it straight up a Hollywood lie. Turns out that dream deal Liz signed with the Sparks was nothing but smoke and mirrors. The perks she thought she was getting, like a car, rent paid, and living expenses, were later slapped with the label of impermissible benefits. Translation, she wasn't going to see a dime of it. And as if that wasn't already shady, things went from bad to downright toxic once she actually suited up for the team. According to Liz, she hit rock bottom in LA. The treatment from staff and even her own teammates was brutal. She says the complaints she filed about the situation went nowhere. Ignored, dismissed, brushed aside like she was invisible. It got so bad that she eventually broke her contract mid-season just to escape what she describes as a hostile, poisonous environment. That's how desperate it got. She had to walk away for the sake of her sanity. But here's where it gets extra messy. While Liz was being told her perks were impermissible, she claims other teammates were quietly enjoying way better benefits than the ones she was promised. Cars, housing, special privileges, you name it. So it wasn't just mistreatment in her eyes, it was targeted. She wasn't just being overlooked. She was being singled out and painted as the villain for reasons that made zero sense at the time. Only years later did it finally click for her. Liz says the cold shoulders, the dismissive management, the little digs and insults from other players, they weren't random. They were calculated. The goal, according to her, was to push her over the edge, make her snap, and then use her reaction as the perfect excuse to shove her out of the WNBA. And the reason? To quietly clear the path for Brittney Griner's protection without ever admitting that's what was happening. But here's the million-dollar question. Why would the WNBA be willing to risk its reputation, its credibility, and even one of its brightest stars just to protect Brittney Griner? Why was Liz Cambage chosen as the sacrifice? That's where things get messy. For months now, whispers have been flying around about Brittney's identity, her physical dominance, and how she doesn't quite fit the mold of a typical women's basketball player. Fans online point to her size, strength, and athletic edge as proof she might have advantages other players simply don't. And yet, despite all the mandatory testing and clearance every athlete is supposed to go through before ever touching the court, Brittney somehow keeps skating by without a single red flag raised by the league.
I don't appreciate the lies. Don't you ever get sick of lying on my name? Sheesh. Don't you have anything else better to talk about?
That silence has only poured gasoline on the rumors that the WNBA is deliberately covering things up to shield her. And it's not like fans are staying quiet about it either. Calls for deeper investigations into players who might hold unfair advantages, Griner being front and center, have been flooding social media for years. But every single time, those calls go nowhere. No statements, no action, nothing. That stonewall response has fueled even bigger speculation that the WNBA isn't just ignoring the concerns, they're actively protecting her from scrutiny. Why would they do that? Well, the league has been trying hard to paint itself as progressive and inclusive, especially when it comes to trans and queer athletes. On paper, that looks like a step forward, but behind the scenes, not everyone agrees. In fact, some current and former WNBA players have come forward to say these policies feel less like inclusion and more like sidelining the women who've been grinding for years. One of those voices is none other than two-time national champion Val Whiting. She didn't mince words when she spoke on the issue, saying, "A lot of my basketball sisters feel differently, but trans women do not belong in women's sports." That statement set the internet on fire. It showed that this debate isn't just happening among fans, it's bubbling inside the women's basketball community itself. It's not fair or safe for biological women. That's how critics sum it up, and they're not pulling punches. Many argue there has to be another solution for trans athletes to compete without forcing biological women to shoulder the consequences.
I kept LA as the pinnacle of my dream, even though a lot of people warned me about playing for that club. And, you know, I got to witness it all firsthand. The lies I was told, and I'm so happy I have witnesses to everything I've been through. Dinners at Catch, you know, with GMs and ownership telling me they were going to get me a G-Wagon.
And ownership told you they were going to get you a G-Wagon if you came to Sparks.
We'll sell you with any car you want. I'm talking G-Wagons. She said, maybe we'll get you a GLE. We're going to help you extra, you know, paying your rent in Bel Air. We're going to pay off your coaches, your medical stuff. Did any of that happen? No. So you brought me here on lies. I'm dealing with, you know, a lot of disrespect, a lot of turbulent players in the change room, the locker rooms, and I'm telling the GM, I'm telling coaches, I'm telling the ownership what's going on. No one cares. No one cares. So I'm not the type of girl that's going to sit in a disrespectful anything. Relationship, workspace, anything. I'm going to leave. There's one thing I'm going to do. I'm going to leave if I'm uncomfortable, and that's what I did.
Inclusivity is one thing, but when it comes at the expense of women just trying to chase their dreams, people feel like the line has been crossed. And fans can't help but notice how Brittney Griner seems to get passes for things that would have ended other players' careers instantly. Case in point, when she allegedly threw a slur at Caitlin Clark in front of the whole world. The clip went viral. Millions saw it, but what happened next? No investigation, no suspension, not even a forced apology. Instead, all we got was Brittney on camera flat out denying what thousands of people had just watched play out live. That's unbelievable. Now imagine if the roles were reversed. If Caitlin Clark had been caught saying something like that, the league would have dragged her name through every headline, paraded her as an example, and probably pushed her right out of the WNBA. That's exactly what happened to Liz Cambage after the Nigerian basketball team incident. Even though the footage showed her being attacked first, and even though she swore she never used racial slurs, she still ended up branded the villain, booted out, and left to watch her career collapse. Fans were quick to catch on to the hypocrisy. One tweet that went viral called it out directly. They kicked Liz Cambage and Chennedy Carter out the league for some of the same types of things they letting old girl get away with. That hit a nerve because the double standard is impossible to ignore. And here's the kicker. People are convinced Liz's downfall wasn't even about her behavior. According to this theory, the only reason the league wanted her gone was to keep their own secrets buried, while making her look like the problem. That's not just favoritism. That's a full-blown cover-up. Liz never wanted to walk away from the game. She was pushed. Her own teammates were reportedly in tears when she left, and fans have been begging for her return ever since. One supporter even admitted that Liz is exactly what the WNBA roster is missing right now. The spark, the edge, that extra tension that keeps people glued to the screen. Another fan put it perfectly. Could you imagine Liz Cambage on a team in today's WNBA? New fans wouldn't be ready. That's the kind of presence she had. Love her or hate her. She made the league electric. So if the fans and even her peers clearly want her back, why does the league still push this idea that Liz is the problem? To be fair, drama does seem to follow her around. Since being drafted back in 2011, she's played for 12 different teams, 4 in the WNBA, and the rest across China, Australia, and Israel. And she's never played back-to-back seasons with a single squad. On paper, that looks unstable. But here's the catch. When other female athletes do the same thing, nobody bats an eye. The double standard is impossible to miss.
Nice. Whoa!
Liz gets dragged for switching teams, while plenty of other players bounce around and still keep their reputations squeaky clean. Even worse, Liz faces harsher backlash than athletes who've actually broken the law. Take Brittney Griner, for example. Fans haven't forgotten that she was convicted and even jailed overseas for carrying substances. Yet somehow, Brittney still gets celebrated, protected, and marketed as the face of the league, while Liz gets branded the villain just for being outspoken. That's why so many fans are convinced this isn't random hate. It's a setup. They believe Liz was deliberately painted as the problem child, so the WNBA could sweep Brittney's baggage under the rug and shield their chosen star at all costs. To them, the favoritism isn't even subtle anymore. It's glaringly obvious. But here's the part that still blows people's minds. How did the WNBA manage to quietly shove Liz Cambage out just to shield Brittney Griner and nobody ever pressed them for answers? For years, it slipped under the radar like it was nothing. No major media pushback, no investigations, not even whispers from insiders. It was like the league waved a magic wand and made the whole mess disappear. But times have changed. Now the questions are louder than ever, and fans are demanding real answers. People are connecting dots the league never wanted connected, and the pressure is building. That silence the WNBA used to rely on, it's cracking wide open. And if Liz really is plotting her return like she hints, it won't be some simple comeback. She's talking about coming back swinging, with receipts. Screenshots, proof, names, everything she says was used to destroy her reputation could soon be flipped back on the league itself. If that happens, heads won't just roll, whole careers could crumble. And this time, no amount of PR spin will be enough to bury it. So what do you think if Liz comes back guns blazing? Does the WNBA survive the fallout? Or will she finally force the league to face its own dirty secrets? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.